Welcome to XP Grind, the best video game book club podcast on the internet. I'm username. Boys, introduce yourselves.
I'm jabbing.
My name's Big Henny. I'm a gamer that games quite often.
All right, I didn't need all that. Every month we're going to recommend each other some games, record ourselves playing them, and discuss, dissect, and rank them for y'all. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, the games we played this month, I think we should talk a little bit about our backgrounds in gaming, the games and genres we like, and a bit about ourselves. But before we can do that, I just want to give you all a quick reminder to like and subscribe. It's completely free, helps you stay up to date on the show, and helps us keep doing this. It's a win-win. Now, boys, who wants to go first?
Well, the game that I recommended you guys. Are we getting into? So we're going into. We talking about me first? We talking about me first?
I figured we'd talk about ourselves first a little bit.
Okay.
And then we could hop into the games we played this month. But let's, give the people a little bit about who we are, what games we like, what games we typically play. Just introduce ourselves, get to know the audience a little better.
Yeah. So, been playing games since I was 3 years old. First video game I remember playing was Mortal Kombat 3 on the PlayStation 1.
Insane.
And
played the Mortal Kombat of the number of years old you were.
Yes. Exactly, bro. I was going over to my dad's house, and I was playing games I shouldn't be playing, and I was beating up my little sister because I just absorbed all the combat, and I'd beat her up, and my mom wasn't happy with that.
I've ever heard.
So we had to put restrictions on me early.
Your mom's still restricting your games to this day, by the way.
I think so. Yeah. and
fucking funny.
And I think that the more I think about it, I'm pretty sure that's like the main event in my gaming lifestyle, to where I was raised with only Nintendo games. So we're gonna show that bleed throughout the show, because that's what I'm really familiar with, are all the Nintendo titles from GameCube and Wii. So, but yeah, I'd say that's kind of how I grew up with video games. I'd play a lot of Nintendo games, and my next door neighbor, he would have the Xbox and the new current video games at the time, and I'd just sneak over there and play even more video games I wasn't allowed to play. So that's how I got that fix in. And also, do you guys need stats? Yeah. Like I'm 260 pounds, I'm 6'1". But I got other stats I could throw.
That's not what the profile picture would show. I don't think it'd agree with those stats.
Yeah, your anime character. Now that guy looks jacked.
He looks pretty good.
All right, Javin, you go.
Yeah, so I've been playing games for, as long as I can remember. Really, I honestly don't remember what game I played first, and I don't think I can even think of what it is. But really, I'm into pretty much. I will try like really any game outside of like maybe like horror games, but honestly, like even Resident Evil has sounded pretty cool. So, but generally, I lean towards like shooters, roguelikes, stuff like that. Generally, that's the kind of stuff that I'll kind of recommend.
Okay. I am username. Same kind of deal. I've had a controller in my hand as long as I can remember. I don't know what the first game I played, though. I do remember playing, we had a Nintendo 64 in the house, and I would play games with my mom a lot. We would play like GoldenEye together. I would play GoldenEye with my mom, and I would play Cruising the World with my dad. Those are some really early games I remember of that. But
what's Cruising the World real quick?
It's a racing game. Maybe I'll recommend it at some point. But
okay.
It's a Nintendo 64.
Oh, is that like part of the Cruising series, like Cruising USA?
Yeah. There's like Cruising USA. It was Cruising the World is just different maps all around the world. But yeah, I played the hell out of that as a kid. But yeah, no, I like RPGs are my bag. I like RPGs. I like roguelikes. But I also love 3D platformers, like collectathon type of games. So those are probably like the core. of what I'm gonna recommend, but I play everything. I dabble.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear your guys' thoughts on my first recommendation. If we're um hopping into the meat and potatoes here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like my game is very like, what's the way to put it? It's I can find some similarities between your two games because they're through the PlayStation, but mine kind of is like a little off the beaten trail a little bit. Um, like mine is quirky and weird in like a very dumb way, I feel, and your guys's kind of has like a very charming uniqueness to it. Uh,
I mean, I would say, not to cut you off, but just to push back on that a little bit, I would say I think all three of our games are they're all eccentric in their own way. Like I would
yeah,
not put Wario World as like, and like especially, in terms of I probably honestly gave like the most like normie pick out of the three.
Oh, okay,
I would agree
Not
with
to put
that.
the
I would
cart
agree.
before the horse, but yeah. Um
see, that's what was weird.
yeah,
I thought mine was the normie pick, absolutely. But
I
that
don't think
so
so.
I find that interesting. Okay,
I mean, maybe at the time, but nowadays, like with the age, so I put for we can just all announce them and we'll get to them when we get to them. We'll try and do the games in order, but so I put forward Katamari Damacy, and that game has been remastered and re-released several times. It's had sequels. It's kind of become like it went from being like a cult thing to being like a much more prominent, well-known type of thing later on down the line. So like at the time, in the 2000s, you probably would have been right in saying like Wario World was like you know, the more like mainstream popular thing.
hmm,
But I think, today, current year, no, I think it's pretty underground now. I don't think I haven't heard anybody talk about it in years. I almost forgot it existed. You know what I mean?
got you, got you. So real quick, what I'll just say, we'll leave the titles below our panels. We recommended for last month Wario World, ChoroQ, and Katamari Damacy. Um, so let's what game should we start first? Should we just go into Wario World since we brought it up?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Okay. I remembered getting Wario World as a child from probably exchanging 3 different video games at GameStop to get this.
Yep.
Classic.
Um, I'm very certain that's how I got it. And, I probably traded really good games that probably like Super Mario Sunshine probably got like hopped in the trade somehow. I don't know.
Dang.
But
That should be a crime.
I know, like, especially like rewatching you guys play it. And like, I'm like, oh my God, this is more rough than kind of what I remembered as a child. Cause I think my memories with Wario World was me and my brother Whiskey playing it together and laughing at kind of the obnoxious absurdity of the video game. That's probably like the two main big themes that I thought of while I was playing the game back in the day. It's obnoxious as hell.
It
Um,
is.
For sure.
the bosses are
It's Wario though.
obnoxious.
So
It is super fitting for it being Wario too. Um, and like the bosses are not what I anticipated for like any Nintendo game, but it fits. It's weird. Um, and I remembered liking the combat back in the day too, with like the ground pounds and the swinging.
Mm.
But what were your guys' thoughts overall, and what uh how did you feel experiencing Wario World?
Javin, you want to take the floor? I kind of, I streamed the game, and so there's some of my thoughts out there. I feel like I have not gotten as much of a like a pure, unfiltered, like full on what you think. I've been kind of dying to
okay.
know.
Yeah, definitely. I will start off with saying like I would agree like on the bosses part. I think the bosses are probably the strongest part of the game. They all feel extremely unique. None of those fights feel um like repetitive or anything like that. They all have like a different mechanic to them. The one I didn't like though, I didn't like the spider one very much. I get a
Mm.
little angry at that one. But outside of that, like yeah, those were really good. That's my biggest pro of the game that I put a pros con list over here.
Mm.
The other thing is I do feel like there's a good variety of different attacks that they all feel pretty good. Um, my other side to that statement is I kind of wish that there was more of like a progression to getting those moves, like kind of, going through certain levels to get one of the moves or something, or get just new moves in general or special attacks or something like that. But I mean, that's kind of just the side. I enjoy progression in my games. It's hard for me to stick to a game if there's not anything to progress on. Um, and then I also feel like there's a really good like biome variety. Like all the levels, like I feel like they do kind of get repetitive, but at the same time, they are very different, and each level does seem pretty unique in its own way. They don't feel samey, which is it's not an easy thing to do.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's kind of the big stuff. I have a couple other gripes. Overall, it's an okay game.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I really liked so I'll do the same kind of, pro con structure. I really liked the combat. It is so satisfying, like they really make Wario feel like a brawler. And when you're like picking up a big like dinosaur and pile driving it down into the ground, that shit it goes hard. It went hard in 2003, it goes hard today. No getting around that. But what the lack of progression and the like repetition in the combat, those are problems, and I would cite those. But like to me, the absolute like elephant in the room like thing I beefed with this game is the platforming is so bad just because of the camera. Like a 3D platformer where you can't control your camera movement is so just it's just a bad it's doomed to fail. Like the only game that's ever done it right is Crash Bandicoot, but like that's designed with it in mind. But these levels feel like almost like you know like they're unfinished Super Mario Sunshine levels, but without the camera movement. Like the movement of Wario, like he actually controls pretty well. Like it feels fluid, and but like it just you end up in a lot of like really clunky, like you got to make kind of like blind jumps, and you gotta and like they kind of they had to have done it on purpose. Like the level where you're trying to do like the mirrored platforming where you can only see yourself in the reflection and you can't move the camera, and you're like they knew what they were doing, and they set out to do this. And I think that was kind of the where the chips, they shouldn't have fallen that way. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, when I was watching you boys platform with the game on the different mini games and the alternate levels, or even just the main levels, once I saw it wasn't a free moving camera and it just snapped based off of how you would hit the C stick, I was like, yeah, this sucks. Like for gaming in
Well,
2026, I was
The
like,
camera was fine in those.
oh, really?
well,
Like in like
yeah,
the little, in like
yeah,
the
that's the
trapdoors and
most
stuff. The
confusing
camera was
part.
great there.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
sub levels you could rotate the camera. That's the most
Yeah.
confusing part is
Oh,
they gave it to you in half of the game and then took it away in the other half. Like that's the confusing part to me.
ah,
Um yeah, because in those, it's not a completely free moving camera, but it basically you have like 8 different like axes you can like rotate the camera on around
Yep.
yourself, and so you can usually find the right angle that you need out of that, no problem. But yeah, it's in the actual like over those are the sub levels, and the actual levels you can't rotate the camera. All you can do is kind of like, you can kind of move it here or you can move it here. Like you can go like a
right.
little ahead of Wario or a little behind him, but that's it.
So now that it feels like um the best variable of this game are the bosses.
For sure.
What was one boss in the game that really stuck with you the most in any way? Like this was the best boss, this was the goofiest boss, this boss gave me PTSD. Like what gave you the best reaction?
I really liked the one, and I can't remember what he was. But we were on like a little like iron platform that was on top of lava, and whenever
Mm.
he would like rush you, he would eventually like get like unbalanced on the edge, and I was like, do I just hit him? And I tried that multiple times, and that was not working. And then I found out you had to ground pound the thing, and that would knock him off. I thought that fight was really cool. I really
That
did
fight
enjoy
was
that
I
one.
did rock, yeah.
The warthog
And
with the
plus
speedo.
yeah, the like
Yes,
pig man with the
Yes,
fucking ripped pig
the
man
Giga
with
Chad.
the with his dong hanging, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like emblematic. That's what the game is though, man. That to me, like that boss fight is like all the strengths of Wario World, like to a T. You know, it's like it's kooky and weird and eccentric and crass, but it's also like the combat is really solid. Um, but yeah, the boss. So I to just to give a different boss because that would be my answer too. That's probably my favorite one. Um, the like it was a little frustrating, but like the flying boss that like inflates you to death that like and like sends the meteors down and you gotta like launch him up at him
Yep.
through like the volcano
Oh, yeah.
geysers. That boss was cool. It was real again, it's just really weird shit going on in these boss fights. Um Also the like sand ant monster. It reminds me of the I don't know what its name is or anything, but it reminds me of the ant lion from Final Fantasy. Um, but like that thing that like spits the like spike balls at you and comes up out of the quicksand. That guy was pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, because what's so bizarre to what I remembered with this video game, and by the way, I didn't remember anything about this game until I saw certain highlight points of your guys' progression through the game. I was like, oh my God, I remember this. I was like, holy shit, I remember that too. Like, it was kind of blind for me, but then I was like, oh, now I remember everything going beat for beat for beat. But I will say, like, as obnoxious and kooky the game is, some of the bosses have some like childhood PTSD moments when it comes to like playing through these bosses, like the flying ice boss. I forget the boss's name, but that one was like, okay, this is weird. And the clown boss, I was like, okay, this is like a little frightening as a child too.
Yeah.
So I would almost give like, I don't know, it's like this, what would you say, like a Hansel and Gretel effect of like, oh, like watching this or experiencing this as a child is like kind of traumatic a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of some of the feelings I had as a child, at least. But looking at it now, I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous to watch.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we actually did a pretty damn good job of I know you just said that like you didn't remember a lot of this game and stuff, but I made a joke during when I was streaming the game that the Wario World is why Big Henny turned out the way he did.
That's right.
And but I think that there's something there. I think that there's there's something to like the games we put forward. I think make a lot of sense for each of us. Obviously
Yeah.
the audience doesn't really like know us like that yet. A lot of them, but I think what you'll find is like these are actually pretty emblematic of like kind of who we are in the games that we gravitate towards and stuff like that. And there's a lot of Wario World. There's a lot of Big Henny in Wario World, and there's a lot of Wario World in Big Henny. So I appreciated it just as
I
a
like
glimpse
that.
into the man, the man behind the screen here.
I like that a lot. That's very poetic of you. User underscore name
Very
name.
much so.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so let's I don't know if we're doing ratings.
Can I say one more thing about it real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Mhm.
The thing that confused me a lot about the game, there is barely a point to the coins
Mm-hmm.
other than to
Yeah.
continue.
Yep.
I don't see like there's barely a point. It's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
the more
think
I go ahead. You go ahead. You
no,
played
you
it.
go. You go.
Well,
No, it's
what
your game. I want you to be the moderator, and then you tell
oh
us. You pass out the sticker that says we get to talk.
okay. Are you calling me a Walmart greeter, bro?
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay. So um the money aspect, I can see what they tried to do with it to wherever you fell off of a platform and went with like the bomb dogs to try to get back up. If you touch the water, you lose your money. But it doesn't seem
Yeah.
like you lose enough money because to what I've seen, both of you were rich the entire
Oh yeah.
playthrough,
Yeah.
and the garlic that replenishes your health that you purchase, which is the only thing you purchase.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
It like
Mm.
they're cheap. They're way too cheap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it felt a little unbalanced in that fact for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, there's that's kind of the other problem with the game. Looking back, I did just a little bit of reading on like, okay, well, I know how I played through the game and then I, figured out how I felt about it, but I was like, I try to rate every game that I play on backlogged. And so I was looking through some of the stuff people were saying on there and also looking at some like reviews from the time it came out and everything like that. And that something that I noticed as a common thing people cite with the game, and also something that I kind of felt playing through it is, it really felt like this game was like rushed, like super rushed. Like they, Treasure was working on it, and maybe Nintendo was like, no, we need a like a mainline ish, Nintendo, like a Mario type game coming out this year. And I know this was supposed to come out next year, but get it done and put it out, because it's just four worlds with three levels each, and one of those worlds is just the boss fight, or one of those levels in each of the worlds is just the boss fights. Um, and so it just like it's so content light, and there's stuff like, you know the combat is really the foundation. There really could have been something really special here, I think, if they just like nailed down like the progression and maybe give you a couple more moves and make you unlock them as you go along. If they had made it to where the coins were like used to buy upgrades, and were, if they did, if Wario like invented the Dark Souls, like you level up with, and your money is your experience and vice versa, like that would have been sick. If you're like, you lose the game, that you game over if you're ever out of money, but there's upgrades you can buy that cost money. Like that could have been really sick. Um, so it just felt like there was a lot of kind of half-baked ideas that were kernels of something that could have, like I said, just been really, really special, but I just don't think the overall product had enough time in the oven.
I agree. Jabin, did you have any other thoughts to add on to what user just said?
I guess the one thing I was just thinking is, um, I feel like with a lot of people could like kind of say the defense of like, oh, that game is from 2003, so it's like we didn't really have these kinds of systems back then. But at the same time, I mean, we had a lot of varied, complete games around then. So
Hmm.
that was really the only thought I had. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this game a rating. I'm gonna give you two the floor. Let's do. What do you guys want to do? A rating out of 10?
Yeah, we can do that.
yep.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and just give like a little quick summary, and then the number.
So I believe in my review, originally, before I finished the game, I did played the game over the course of two streams. And in the first three, and it only took about 6 hours to finish. In the first 3 hours, I finished that stream, and I was really optimistic about Wario World. I was like, there's something here. There's some juice. The combat is satisfying. The worlds are weird. The boss fights are crazy. The music kind of it. There's a lot of interesting stuff. Some of it just sounds like wet farts, and is bad, but like it's all interesting, and there is some really good music in there. Um, but I was like, there's something here. I wasn't ready to be like, move over Super Mario Sunshine. This is the best platformer on the GameCube. I wasn't gonna say that or nothing, but I think I was gonna give it like a 3 or a 3.5 at that point. The second time I played through it on stream, the like during the second worlds and the final boss, it really did start to, because I realized like, oh, all the cool shit that I liked in the first half, that's all the game's gonna give me. There's gonna be a couple new enemy types over the course of like 8 more levels, but like I'm gonna have all the same moves, and I'm gonna fight them all the same way. I'm gonna be doing all the same shit, and it's gonna be doing all the same shit, but in a more tedious, like, repetitive kind of way. And so it did kind of wear me down. I think by the end, what I settled on, because I do really appreciate the eccentricities and the quirks of the game. Um, I think what I settled on is a 5. I think that the things I like and the heart and charm of the game is strong enough that it makes me appreciate it more than the negative feelings that the gameplay does create in me, and it does. We can maybe put some of those clips in on the gameplay, but yeah, I was losing my mind there at the end a little bit. But like I said, it just has so much heart, it really does.
I would agree. I'll move on to me. Pretty much, yeah, everything that user said, I would totally agree with. I didn't think the game was like bad or anything like that. I definitely, I will say, I don't think I could ever see myself coming back to play it again. I did finish the game in about 5 hours or so, and by I don't know, like hour 3 to 3.5, I was kind of ready to be done at that point. I did end up collecting everything though, so I think that's technically 100% collecting everything in that
Mhm.
game, but
Yes, sir.
um but yeah, with all that said, I did end up also giving it a 5 out of 10, personally.
Awesome. Perfect. And with me looking back on it, um, I'd wholeheartedly agree with everything. The perception of a video game as a child to current, there are things that fall through the gaps, and I think everything you guys said is like spot on. So I totally agree. If I were to, I I don't deserve to give it a rating because I didn't play it. We'll keep it at that. So we're gonna stick with the 5 out of 10 rating from user and Jabin. Yeah, thanks for playing my game, boys.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to say, like, I was actually so like excited. I was really stoked when you recommended this game. Once we had the idea to do this podcast and we were deciding on our first games and sharing them, I was really, really glad that you picked this one because this was a game that um I just never got around to as a kid, but for some reason I was always like drawn to. I was like I wanted to play because I liked games that looked like it. I liked Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64. I played those. And so I was like, and I like Banjo Kazooie and I like Donkey Kong and Spyro. Like I said, 3D platformers. That's some shit I like. So, um, I was looking at this game and it was one of those things. I think the game rental place in my town didn't have it, if I remember right. And it was like if I was going to use my like allowance money, like my birthday game, I get to go to the store and pick out. It wasn't going to be Wario World.
Yeah.
It was. It didn't. It wasn't drawn to it that much, But
Yeah.
it was one of those things like I thought about it a lot as a kid. I always wanted to, and like I thought about it maybe here and there over the years since and been like, oh, I could do that and just never got around to it. But like that's exactly to me, like you picking that game for us and like my, having it deep in the backlog for so long is like that's what this is all about. Like that's exactly what I wanted out of this podcast. Like from episode 1 we like hit exactly the note that I wanted to get to. So I thank you for recommending it, Big Henny. It's the kind of game I only would have played probably and like got around to because of this, but I'm glad that you picked it.
Hell yeah. Appreciate that. All right, Jabin. I believe it's going to be your turn now.
All right.
Kick us off. I, I need some lore about this thing is special.
Some lore. Yeah. So the game I chose was ChoroQ or ChoroQ, however you say it. I honestly don't know. Um, but that game, I remember playing it when I was like super young, and I I got stuck so many times because I didn't understand the fact that you just had to repeat races over and over again a few times to build up some money, really. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I finished this game when I was younger. I say finish, but I think I only got to a certain point where I think credits roll, but that's not technically the end of the game on that game. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about it. I know I've talked to you guys about it a little bit. I especially want to hear Henny because I
Mm.
did not get to see much of your content on stream. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so to preface first, the most of my gameplay hours were off stream. So I got to put in probably around 10 to 11 hours into this. First off, holy shit, I've never played a video game like this in my life. Cars are the characters in the game, and it is a cutesy looking RPG. Like, all the cars are cute because they're short and stubby. The world is like kind of like, it feels like a race car, the race car carpet. That's kind of what that reminded me
Yeah.
of. The
Oh,
maps
yeah,
were like
yeah.
the race car carpet. And yeah, it really, really hit something special for me, because a game I grew up playing as a child was Need for Speed Underground 2. And one of my favorite aspects of that game is the customization you can make when it comes to all of your mechanical components and your body kits. And uh the customization was cool. I thought it was, at first glance, I'm looking at this game and it looks like a game for a 5-year-old. I'm like, oh, okay, we're just going to be driving around little baby cars around. But no, you put a V10 big block Hemi in that thing, boy. you put the turbo, side skirts, spoilers, goddamn like computer components. like you could drive a 7-speed manual, and like
Nope.
it's pretty crazy. It blew me away whenever I saw all these customizable features in the game. I will say, like, in the very beginning, what really threw me off was your car driving looks extremely slow, like in the beginning. But what I will say, with just a little bit of upgrades on your car, you're driving 240 miles an hour in a minivan, which is like the
Yep.
top speed of a Bugatti in real life. So like it's hilarious to where you can, as you progress through the game, you can crank your speed up to like 300, and it's very, very unique. It's a very unique video game. I'm gonna stop talking right there because I want User to add more into his thoughts of the game, and then I'll chime in a little later with some other uh, points here and there.
Hell yeah. So I would say, as far as like racing games go, like I'm pretty under, like, outside of like the kart racer, kind of genre of racing games, like I'm pretty under experienced in that realm. You said Need for Speed Underground. I did play Underground 1 and 2. I played like Burnout Paradise. I played some racing games in my day, but they're not like something I go and seek out on like a regular. It's not like a
Mm.
mainstay in my rotation or anything. Um, so I was a little bit like, oh, it's a racing game. But then I saw a couple things. One is I saw like the cutesy, toy car component of it, and there is an exception to the race. Like, the most recent racing game I played before this, besides Sonic Cross Worlds Racing, which is a kart racer and is also cartoony, but was Hot Wheels. The Hot Wheels game that came out a couple years ago. I played the shit out of that. Um, so I was like, maybe, this is the kind of racing game that I'm gonna gravitate more towards if I'm gonna latch onto one. Um, and then I also saw Atlas on the cover. And, if you don't know, Atlas is the publisher that releases Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. And they're like, it makes some of my favorite RPGs. And I, see it's a racing game with like a little light splashing of RPG elements. And I'm like, okay, sign me up. Like, I'll play. You put RPG elements on anything, I'm probably interested. So, yeah, once I actually got into it, I mean, even just from the opening like sequence, it kind of tells you everything you need to know about the game. You get some insanely like crazy, like I don't know, like future funk, like city pop type music with like this like glitchy digital, like words are flashing on the screen. It's like you're flipping through like like a 2000s like fashion magazine really fast and just looking at all the ads. Um, and then with the crazy music playing, and then you like get into the game and it opens on a cutscene of like a car having a PTSD flashback to his friend dying in a racing accident and exploding on this on the sidewall. And I was like, This is so fucking weird. From the jump, it really just like lays it all out there. It's insane. And it only gets weirder from there. And every time I thought I had like maxed out the weirdness of like where this game could go and it couldn't surprise me anymore, I played another 30 minutes or an hour and I saw some shit that I never even considered could be in the possibility, you know? Like you start out and you're racing and you're just on like a normal like oval track, you know, it just looks like a NASCAR race or whatever. But then you start racing through the jungle and, you know, through like feudal Japan, going through like bathhouses and shit. And then you're racing inside of a computer in cyberspace. And like, so like the tracks are weird. The game is localized in just the most, like, I don't know what happened here, but I love it. Every second of it, I love it. Because it's like, it feels like all the dialogue in the game got, and all the text for that matter, got like put through Google Translate once into one language and then again into another language and then another language like 5 times and then it made it back to English. It makes no sense. Every character talks like they talk like XQC on like drugs.
It's extremely cryptic language.
It's actually insane. And like
Because who's the card that sends you back in time, bro? Like,
dude, ChoroQ Anon.
Yeah, he's like he's just like speaking in a parable the whole time, and then he's like, drive around the fountain 10 times and we'll send you back. And then
he's got a weird name. So
yeah, they all have weird names. That's like it.
They do, yeah.
One of my chatters was like, are these names? Is this game Russian? Like these names are like, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's Japanese, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know what they were cooking. Beginning, did you meet I think at one point the game calls them a fortune teller, but when you meet them, they say they're gonna pray for you. Did you meet that NPC?
No.
Okay, there's a clip on my Twitch channel. You gotta watch this. It's the most insane. So basically, it starts out with like this NPC is like, "Can I pray for you? It will only take 3 minutes." And I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And it goes into this like monologue where like it starts talking to your car and saying like if you have if you have 100 or if you have 10,000 gold, you're richer than the richest nobleman, and you have more money than all million people in the world. Like it's going up, but then halfway through the monologue, and by the way, the camera's going crazy. It's like it comes in from way down the street and like zooms in on his face. It starts doing like Dutch angle close-ups. Like it's going insane. The camera is. And then at one point the dude like he just starts talking to you, the player. He's like, and you, if you're holding this controller right now in your hands, you are the luckiest person alive.
Oh, fourth wall break, huh?
It was just going in, and I was just losing my mind to that on stream. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever played. Like, it was really, this game has incredible charm. Like, every part of it is just so fucking endearing, man. I loved it. I can't even lie. It just puts a smile on my face thinking about this game.
Because
I'm so glad to hear that.
What I have noticed, the difference of gameplay between me and you is you got a lot more of the RPG elements, while I was grinding races and getting money and going fast as fuck. Like, because you were farming, your car is farming corn or something, and I look back over on your stream and you're just patrolling, doing police work in the neighborhood. And I was
doing all the jobs.
I'm going like 350 miles an hour. Like, what is this guy doing? Like, I was like, you got to race. Like, but that is cool to where you got more of the story and car RPG elements, while I was like trying to like blast through and progress, and like I was getting a shit ton of money upgrading my car. But I gotta add on to what this feels like, a beautiful hybrid of a kart racer with Need for Speed, because like I understand a lot of kart racers like Mario Kart or any of the Sonic racers or whatever those kart racing games could be, they got customizable things, but like it's not like the same customization as like a Need for Speed game. So I feel like this is a beautiful hybrid of both, to where you're not getting like monotonous like track courses. They're very fun and quirky, kind of like a kart racer, but they are real cars on these tracks. So yeah, that's kind of like one of the things that stuck with me the most thinking about the video game was kind of like you got a healthy portion of both. But
Oh yeah.
Jabin, like playing this game as a child, like were any of these like weird elements, like I know you probably weren't like, identifying most of it, but like what was your thoughts like playing this if
So
from your
when I was
remembers?
younger, I had a tendency to uh, pretty much just completely ignore stories, skip every cutscene. I don't care about words. I just want to play the game. I'm not that
Most
way
base
anymore.
shit I've ever heard in my
Not that
life.
way anymore. So
Hell yeah,
I
boy.
did take the more approach of doing what you did and just did the races and stuff. But I
Yeah.
also didn't understand like the concept of grinding them over and over again. I'm like, I don't want to just grind the same thing over again. I want to get to the new stuff. So I really never made it really that far when I was young. I came back to it as a teenager, and I eventually did, join the team. Did that race, beat the first Grand Prix, which I think is, I think that's where I ended because I don't remember too much after that point. Um, but yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest. I went because of you guys playing this game. I did go back and start playing this game again, and I think I enjoy this game even more now than I did when I was younger.
Nice.
Like it's actually such a good game for especially like, which is crazy because like of all the translation issues. I mean, there's a ton of typos. I don't know if you noticed that too.
Oh yeah, I noticed, buddy. I noticed.
Like, it's hilarious, but I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. I love that the cosmetics even add stats to your car.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
it's
I
a really
love that
cool
the
aspect.
cosmetics do, but this is
Oh
I'm
yeah,
Big Henny was talking earlier, but I did want to mention because I think this is actually such a brilliant design thing, and it's something that car games kind of lose me on. Is like, um, a lot of times your stats in your race are determined by the car you're using. And in ChoroQ, they're not determined by the car you're using, they're determined by the parts that are in that car. So you can race with whatever car you want as long as it has the right parts in it to, allow you to be able to complete the race and like be competitive. Um, but it meant that like, I got really attached. I had a name for my car and I got really attached to it and I never had to get rid of it and upgrade to something else if I didn't want to just because you know, the car I started with was kind of like it looked like a fucking cube, but it probably was not the most aerodynamic, sporty type of vehicle, but that didn't matter, that I got to keep with them the whole time until I got a burner, like an oven burner, with a bowl of like ramen or something on it, and I was like, "Well, I'm driving that now. I mean, I gotta ride, I gotta ride with the ramen car. Come on, that's awesome."
This
And
is
I
the
put hot rod
only
flames on it.
this is the only game where you can fit a V10 engine inside of a Toyota Camry.
Exactly, yeah. And
true.
I like that you started off. You had the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. I saw that.
Yeah.
Users was a Honda Fit, by the way. Just throwing that out
Okay.
Mm,
there. That's what it was
okay,
modeled after. So
gotcha.
big pleasure.
Big
Yeah.
pleasure. That's what, cause, and that's like just an example of like that endearing, like wacky, like translation or like localization on the text is like, from the very jump when I was picking which car I wanted, they had like little blurbs about them, and the one I saw was that stuck with me was big seller, big pleasure, and so I copped that car. And I called him Big Pleasure the whole time. I said Big Pleasure. My stream was called Big Pleasure's Last Ride. But
Oh,
what were you
that
gonna
was
say,
good.
Henny? I'm sorry for cutting you off, buddy.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think you're right. I was just driving my old childhood car when I was like 16, the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, mint condition, by the way. Um, but yeah, I final thoughts, I guess, and we give it a rating. Do you have any final thoughts before we go into the ratings, Jabin?
One thing I want to say, I do like, I do really like this game, and like I said, when I came back to it, I I like it even more. I love it anymore, honestly. But a couple things that I don't like about the game. I feel like the events The events are extremely random because the events don't just happen from the letters. The letters are some of the events, but other events are ones that you have to go out in the world and find yourself. It kind of has like that old Final Fantasy or old Pokemon game philosophy of where if you go into a new town, you're supposed to go talk to everyone to see what's going on, and you're supposed to do that. And then there's also like some of the NPCs you have to talk at a certain time of day. Like some of them you have to talk at night. So it's like I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out with just going to literally every house at every point of the day, especially with how the day night cycle works in the game because it's
Yeah.
very weird. Um, but I mean, that's the only other thing I really had to say about it on the grapes, like that, and then like seeing like it doesn't really have like a way to guide you on what to do either. That was the other thing that confused me when I was younger because it doesn't really tell you what to do. You kind of have to figure it out.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that was going to be like, I've said lots of praises about this games, and some of the cons that you were saying kind of translate with the cons that I experienced with the game. One of the major issues that I thought was with the game was the letter system. At first, I didn't know where to find the letters at all. And I think around hour 4 I found them in the information box. And in order to join a racing team, you had to go race the bad girls into their night race, the Bad Girls Club or
tough
whatever it
chicks,
was. Oh, Buff
tough
Chicks.
chicks.
Yeah.
Tough
Put some
Chicks.
respect on their name.
Yeah, the Tough
The
Chicks.
tough chicks.
They're the
And we're
Timu tough
members.
chicks, bad girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bad Girls Club. And then and I did that race and it unlocked a letter. And that letter from your childhood friend Barrett or your rival in the game, that doesn't open a race. I had to enter and re-enter my garage 4 times to finally get to 3 new fresh letters for me to trigger an event to race your rival, and then you can apply for the racing club. So it was kind of frustrating to where like I had to look that up. I was like, okay, let's re-enter and exit my garage like 4 times. And then I'm like, okay, now I can progress into the game. But you know, it doesn't really tell you or guide you how to do it. And if there was like a simpler, like, I don't know, like checklist on quests or something, like I think the whole letter system's cute, but it could have been more simple with just like, hey, here's a checkpoint, drive to the checkpoint and progress, kind of like most other like car games. And I'm thinking of old Need for Speed games that do it that way. But
Yeah.
over that's really all I had. It doesn't really impede or impact my score too heavily. I'm honestly thinking this is probably like a nice 6 out of 10 for me. So this is an above average video game. Um, and I'm going to continue back with it because I want to finish this game. I just didn't realize how grindy it was in the beginning. So,
Yeah.
you know, to really, really get through the game, it needs just more gameplay hours. So I'll be getting there soon.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I really want to put more hours in. Because there's whole I won't spoil it for you, Big Henny, because I don't know if you were there when we discovered this, but there's like whole systems in the game, mechanics and stuff you haven't even like. In addition to all the weird events and stuff you might not have seen, there's like mechanics that are just it's crazy. They're buried so far deep into the progression. Um, but yeah, I feel the same way on all that. I mean, those are the the non-linear, like unclear, obtuse sometimes, like progression of the story and everything. That all, I like I said, I love old RPGs and stuff, so I'm a bit more like I'm less sensitive to that than I think some people are. So like I'll rock with it. I've seen weirder, like I've had to do weirder stuff to trigger like in Earthbound at one point you just have to like wait outside of a door, like you just have to put the controller down and not input anything for like 5 minutes and then something happens. There's some like I said, I have I have a tolerance for that because of the games that I play. So that didn't bother me as much. Um I do think that the day night cycle is pretty much just an annoyance. I don't think it really adds anything. Um because it's not like when you race at night or day, you get like different models of the tracks or anything, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't give you any like bonuses. It's just like sometimes you can't do what you wanted to do. Um, which I think is the wrong way to do it. But now other than that, I mean, it is grindy at the beginning and it is you know, it's mostly like I said, it's just grindy at the beginning. Sometimes you don't know what to do. And those are going to be flaws that really like push a lot of people away. But
Sure.
once you make it through that, if you make it through that, this is like one of the most just like fun, kooky, charming, just like warm, fuzzy, fun games I've ever played in my life. It to me it's so endearing. Every conversation, yeah, they're nonsense and it's not really meant to be that way, but it's like it's a so bad it's good kind of thing where it like becomes like, I think about the weird out of pocket things. Like there's a politician character you meet later on. You join Congress, you join car Congress and vote on issues. The game's so fucking weird. I can't get over it. But you join car Congress and become a representative, and when you do, you get invited by this dude who every line of dialogue he starts every sentence with "I'm a shady politician." like every like he just ain't like who the hell starts a conversation that way, right? But
I
he
have
does
ill
every
intentions.
yeah, exactly. And he's like, and then he asks you like a questionnaire about how do you feel about the moral complexity of the universe? Do you think evil is sometimes justified? And like, it's like, and you got to answer it the right way to make yourself be the bad guy. So he gives you an invite to the underground racing ring with that's like funded by black market operations. Like, the game is, I can't stress enough. Anything you think like you will not get anything you expect from this game. You will only get the unexpected crazy. At one point you go into a haunted house and play like a survival horror mini game while zombie like monster trucks chase you down. And you have to find like a red key to open the red doors in the mansion, and you find logs about a man whose mom has injected him with a zombie virus. Like it's insane. I love it. I love every second of it. This game rules.
Real quick, I gotta say
So
this because there was one character card that I went into his house and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Big Henny? I got this package that I need you to deliver. Do you mind doing that?" And so, since the character asked, "Do you mind doing that?" I hit yes because that's what I do in real life when everybody really means, like, everybody understands, like, I'm a nice guy and would do that. So I said,
mhm.
"Yeah, I do mind, like, doing this for you." And the character's like, "Wow, that's rude. Get the fuck out of my house." And I was like, "Oh, no,
I did
no."
the same thing. I did the same thing with the reporter that asks you to interview. They're like, "Would you mind sitting down for an interview?" And I even like was like, "It's asking me, do I mind?" So I should hit no, but there, with how bad the translation is and how nonsense it is, there's
Yeah.
no way that they got that right. You know what I mean? And so I hit yes, and she was like, "Well, okay then, fine. We don't want you anyway." And I'm like, Jesus. Um, but no, like I said, I love this game. I think it's endlessly endearing. I put a bunch of songs from it in my like, video game playlist. It's amazing. Honestly, I'm feeling like an 8 on this game. It really, really, really worked for me. So,
Yeah. I'll close with my feelings about it as well. Everything these guys said, I'm super glad that you guys felt so highly about the game. I didn't know how. I figured user would really enjoy it, especially with it being Atlas. I wasn't sure how you would do with it, Henny, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Because I've never really seen you guys really play racing games, so I wasn't sure where that would be. But yeah, I mean, I am also personally at an 8. I have been on the second playthrough I've been running through. I've been like just going through with the wiki and trying to do like every event just to see what it has to offer. And I I've been having a great time, man. It's just a lot of fun. It really
mhm.
is. I think I don't think the game did very well like publicly when it came out, and I don't think it did very well on like Metacritic. But like I think this game's kind of a hidden gem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You do know that this is game 4 in a series, right?
Yes, I do.
And
It's ChoroQ HG4.
yeah, but the
The
other
US only
one,
ever got Road Trip Adventure, which is
yep,
HG2.
Road Trip
yep. I was
Adventure
gonna say
is a game that my old coworker played, and it's like
it's a
one of
game that
his
your cousin
favorites.
has talked to me about.
Really?
Your cousins, them brothers, they played the hell out of it. Yeah, that's what they said anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you can just drive your car across country. Like that's all I know about it.
Yeah, I might need to try to play that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say because I had never heard you talk about that, but I was like, if you haven't, because I had never heard of this, and I had heard of roadside or road trip adventures, just from the two of them, um, Big Henny's cousins, but yeah, but I'd never heard you talk about that. All this discussion we've been having about ChoroQ, I just figured, hey, I should let you know about that. So there you go. There's a special bonus recommendation. Is the other game in this series.
Right on. Well, it's last but not least user underscore
Oh,
name names video game. What did you throw at us? Talk about it.
so I recommended to Jabin and Big Henny the game Katamari Damacy, which was a game came out on the PS2. Like I said earlier, it's been re-released since then and had sequels and everything like that. But I wanted them to start with the original one. Um, and this game, I played it as a kid and loved it. Um, and I think Ed, like I was talking about how kind of we all there's bits of ourselves in the games that we put forward. There's something like Katamari is like such a big part of my personality in a lot of ways. Like I like bright colors. I like weird. I like I like very simple. Like I like games that play mechanically like this. Not necessarily games about rolling up tiny objects till you become larger so you can roll up bigger objects. But I mean like games that are built with like simplistic, just perfected kind of gameplay loops that win you over with style and theme and substance and music and art, and like the game is great but it's like almost secondary to the overall experience of what you're getting. And so it's been it's a big game for me in a lot of ways. It's one of my all-time favorites. And so I knew you guys hadn't gotten around to it, and so I just had to put it out there for y'all and see what you think. And like I said, it is one of my favorites, but no pressure. You can break my heart. If this is a safe space.
Jabin, you go first.
Oh, I will do that. Let me pull up my document here. So I first thoughts. I really. I mean, when I first started rolling the ball, I initially was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna move my left analog stick up," and I'm like,
Mm,
"Oh, no, I have to use both." I'm like, "That's cool in itself." I thought that was a cool control scheme. But no, I really did like this game. I enjoyed it a lot. I did not fully complete it, mostly because I was not a huge fan of the constellations and like the
mhm,
kind of forcing me to roll up certain things to get a higher score. That wasn't really my thing. But like, I mean, just rolling up like the normal levels of just rolling up everything, rolling up as much stuff as you can, make the ball bigger and bigger, trying to honestly just like roll up as like everything was always like a fun thing to do, especially on the last level. But no, I mean the game is just like it's fun. Like it's really just mindless fun. It's got some pretty jokey text in it. They make a lot of funny jokes. The music's great. All the environments are great. It's a really cool game. And I mean, I'll probably try the other games at this point at some point. If I don't go back and finish the constellations of this one or not. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What you got, Henny?
Yeah, I love this game. There's a progression of emotions that I had throughout this game, which what I will say is this is probably one of the only video games where I'll say like aside of like my emotions, that's not impacting overall how I feel about this video game. Like at first, the completion of this game is kind of equivalent to like the accomplishing feeling of like getting a workout done. And that's not for like the game being difficult whatsoever, but it's how my brain works when it comes to rolling over small objects first and not knowing where to go, and you have a certain time to do it. My brain at first was only rolling over just small objects and not having enough time to complete the level. And then I have this Giga Chad guy saying, "Oh yeah, you're a piece of shit. This ain't good enough. This is little wee tiny little bitty baby ball. What am I supposed to do with this?" And I'm like, "Well, fuck you too, man." And then so I was just like, "Okay, well, I got to do this shit again." And you know, I'm rolling over bananas, and he's spelling out banana while I'm rolling over bananas.
So funny.
and and then I was getting better and better and better. But what I will say is like the comprehension of where like my ball size was to where I was like, oh, we're done with this area. There's more stuff to collect over here, but we don't need to collect more little baby shit over here. We got to go to the bigger stuff. So then I'd progress over to the bigger stuff and collect the bigger stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting how this game works now. But yeah, so as I was finally getting my rhythm going, I was like, oh, we're getting big as shit. Like, you know, collecting trees and elephants and construction equipment. And then like as you're making your ball bigger throughout the other levels, the scale and the size of your ball can really get is pretty ridiculous and very satisfying. That's just me kind of scratching the surface of this game because there's so many weird elements of like the cutscenes after completions of the main levels
Oh yeah.
of this, you know, Asian family like going on
Yeah.
a trip to watch their father do a space launch. I wasn't understanding that part of it, but there's some lore and story there. Um and like with certain constellation levels, there's just a child. I forget what she says, but it's kind of like cryptic and like low key, like disturbing, weird, almost. And I was like, oh, what the hell's happening, man? Like, yeah, I have too many thoughts and emotions about this game, and I think uh overall the experience of the game was pretty I'm left confused but satisfied. It's a very
It's a
confusing satisfaction.
It's
hmm.
fair. I want to add one more thing. The sense of progression in that game is really cool. Like, I mean, you just start at a very, very small, quaint, small ball, and eventually you literally pick up like an entire city. And like, it has a really good sense of progression in that
Hmm.
aspect.
Yeah, that's you know, we talked about like, you know, what are like the goals or like you know, how we kind of each decided for the game that we put forward, like, you know, this is what experiencing it means. And I really did want you guys to finish the last level because to me, like what Katamari is about is like, you know, and I'm a big like the myth of Sisyphus kind of a guy. Um but like, you know, it's really about rolling that ball up the hill and looking back down and seeing like how far up the mountain you are. Like you can't even see the ground anymore. Like those little pebbles that were tripping you up on the, you know, the early incline, you can't even see what they are anymore, right? It's that type of thing. And so like starting off and you're like, oh man, I'm finally big enough to roll up a quarter. To like then you're like, I'm finally big enough to roll up Australia. Like
Yeah.
it's just such a you know, it's like the scale just goes so crazy. And like I know you said you weren't a huge fan of them, but like the constellation levels, you know, I think they're important because they do like change it, you know, making it about something else. The so it's been a minute since I've played Damacy. I played We Love Katamari recently, more recently than the first one. But are they all just target like collect the as many of this item as you can, or are there like is there more variety to them?
The one I got to, most of them were that way, like collecting a certain item, a certain amount of this item, that sort of thing. There was one that I got to that it was like, I need you to make this ball 10 meters, but I'm not going to tell you how big
Oh,
it is. We're going to show
yeah,
you what it looks like, but
yeah,
we're not going to tell you how big it is. And I was like, yeah, I don't, I don't like that. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think they're important because, just as like a diversion. It's also like, it's a little interesting because they do tend to be themed after the constellation that you're making, and so they're like sort of there's like a flavorfulness to them, and a gameplay like mix up and stuff. I think they're important, but I understand where you're coming from, where they are often the more frustrating set of levels, and like I get why you don't vibe with them as much.
Because I didn't do the constellations really either, but I thought it would be fun to do my own constellation. So I was doing the Virgo one. And the start of the Virgo one, the king is just like, oh, this guy's ugly. You know what this guy needs? This guy needs some beauty. And you know what's beautiful? Girls. Beautiful, beautiful girls. Let's roll up as many girls as we can. And so,
I believe what he says is let's roll up as many like beautiful maidens as we
yeah,
can.
beautiful maidens. So,
That's crazy.
and like that entire level, you're just rolling up women and statues of women. And every time you roll over a girl, they're just like screaming in agony.
Yep.
And then it's at the very end, he's like, "Oh yes, look at all these beautiful maidens. They're going up into the sky now." And I was thinking, just hypothetically, of like, you know, a ball of corpses just going into the galaxy. And he's like, "Oh yes, it's very psychotic if you think about it a little deeply."
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many just quirky, weird, fun aspects about this game, and even in the credit roll where you're rolling up countries around the globe, I thought that was even pretty fun.
Yep.
Tried to get as many as I could. I don't know how many countries I rolled up, but it was almost all of them. Um, but yeah, I think the game's pretty simple with its premise. The zero turn lawnmower controls, they were familiar with me. Um
Hell yeah,
I,
brother.
I wasn't putting into consideration though that just like the object you're picking up will just fucking skew your ball over when you pick up like long objects. So I was like, oh yeah, zero turn lawnmower. Yeah, this is easy. And then I'm like, oh shit, I cannot turn that way, brother. Like, so it's even like with the physics of the game, it's pretty cool. And the amount of assets in the fucking game, holy shit. When
Oh
you're
yeah.
on that last level building the moon to launch into the sky, like it really, really kind of just sets like the big picture of how many assets are inserted on each level. And you're picking up, I thought the helicopters, I was like, okay, we got helicopters. Oh shit. Now I'm picking up clouds and tsunamis and tornadoes and islands. Like it's very, very I wonder how long it fucking took them to make that. You know what I mean? And have all like
Mhm.
you could pick it literally all up. I don't know game dev stuff, but I was just thinking like this had to took fucking forever.
Mhm. Yeah, there's like, I mean, probably what, like at least 7 or 800 like unique like objects to pick up that have different models and stuff in them. It is crazy, and like a lot of them have like unique like sound effects and stuff that happens when you pick them up and everything too. But yeah,
A lot of
it is.
love in that game.
Yep,
Yeah, Jack.
exactly what I was gonna say. You took the words out of
Sorry.
my mouth.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
what I would like to say is, Jabin, you played the re-roll, which is like the remastered
I
version,
did.
and I
Yes.
played the emulated PS2 version. Your game looks a lot prettier than mine, where they're like, was there any? Is there a difference between the two, or is it just an HD like
I
remaster?
don't think so.
Uh, I think I know the remake of We Love Katamari comes with like some bonus content. I can't remember if Katamari Damacy reroll does.
Okay.
Let me check it out.
Because I didn't know if there would have been like some performance issue, not performance issues, but maybe skill issues for my end because of the game being like, I'm playing the OG, right? Um, but one thing I would like to say that I didn't even like, there's so many just skill issues I could have done that would have made the game easier, which is if you hit both analog sticks down, you can go on the opposite side of the ball. I never did that.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
I did it like super late and I was like, oh my God. Like, okay,
They
this
teach you
is
that in
way
the
easier.
tutorial.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. It's just like I'm not putting it into practice. And then like the jump mechanic, so you can just see what's around you while you're small. Like, never did that really. But yeah, so if there's like some complaints, that's why I said my emotions aren't going to affect my score, because there are some skill issues that just weren't put into practice with the gameplay that on my end.
Yeah, so it looks like it's just better graphics and some like bug fixes, a few character design changes, um, but no like new content in Damacy reroll. But
Okay.
yeah, like I said, there is some new stuff in We Love Katamari, the second remake.
Nice. But yeah, user, is there any final thoughts that you have about what we have said, or your thoughts on the game in general before we start laying scores out?
Um, yeah, it's just I do think part of my enjoyment with with Katamari and Jabbins with ChoroQ in our childhoods, I think is like there's a little bit of kind of crossover there of like, we were both playing some weird ass games. No wonder we turned out the way we did.
Yeah.
Because like, a like ripped man with a fucking head like this, like laying back like he's on a D'Angelo album cover, like berating you, and then like lightning is like it turns into a skeleton. Like that's kind of there's some like weird that this game, I will say, if you played this game when you were 7 years old or whatever, like I did, you will it'll make you think about the world in a different way
I
than
did
you
feel
ever
like
thought about it before.
I did feel like I was getting mogged on the entire time by the king.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, he mogs on you. But no, there's just I mean it's just a beautiful game. So much color, so much amazing like art and love and care put into it. Like I don't know, to me this is I guess just what I would say about it is like to me this game is like even though it is like there is some weirdness in it that like a kid's not gonna like really get or whatever. To me, this is like along with like you know the like studio Ghibli movies and like some of the Pixar movies and stuff where it's like just because you're making something for a kid doesn't mean you have to make it like dumbed down. It doesn't mean like you can make it
Mhm.
simple and still make it like a triumphant, like beautiful, engaging work of art that anybody can like pull so much out of and really appreciate. So like to me this game is just really emblematic of that. And it like it's such a maximalist concept, but such a minimalist execution, right? Like you're literally trying to suck up and you're just gobbling up everything you got on your screen. So in that way, it's very maximalist. But like it gives you all the controls right off rip, and all the progression just comes from like you know your ability and your what you see in front of you, and all that's just really cool. So yeah, that's all I got. But y'all want to rate it? What are you guys thinking?
For sure. Yeah. The final things I was gonna say about it. Uh, I, this is more of like a personal issue than anything. For some reason, I will eventually kind of just struggle to get through a game if it's like a short game, and I don't know why, but I do.
Mm.
Um, so like eventually the game did just definitely start feeling a little bit repetitive. Which there's only so much you can do with the type of game it is. I mean, with that being said, I still love the game. I think it's a lot of fun, and I would definitely play the future Katamaris at some point, most likely. But with all that said, I mean, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
7. Okay.
Oh yeah. I think this game definitely left me pretty speechless. I think this is a game I'm going to be revisiting. I feel like while I'm going live, I feel like this is a perfect game to play that kind of fits my vibe for a just chatting game to where I can just passively roll my ball around and, you know, talk and hang out with chat while I'm gaming. And it makes me curious about the other Katamari games. Back in the day when I had a PlayStation Vita, I actually played Touch My Katamari, which had like some motion controls on the PlayStation Vita. I don't know if I owned the game or if I just played the demo to just see what the vibe was, because that was my first exposure to Katamari, was seeing this, little creature man who I didn't know his name was the Prince, by the way. And I was like, okay, what the hell is this? And then I remembered vaguely playing it a little bit, but never really getting too deep with it. So it was cool to actually revisit this fully with Damacy. So I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. I think there's more excitement in the future for me to play some other ones. Yeah, it's very, very interesting and kind of an anomaly with other video games that are out there in general. So yeah, that left me very, very positively. Yeah, we'll cut it there. I don't know what else to add on to it. It's good.
It's good. All
Oh,
right. So I've been sort of tabulating, keeping a little spreadsheet up over here. So just to like average, I think the person who recommended the game, they're going to be a biased source, so maybe, take their feedback out. So I just put,
yeah, we'll exclude that.
you know, yeah, everybody, the other people's scores in, and average them. So we've got Wario at a 5 out of 10. We've got ChoroQ at a 7, and then 7.5 on Katamari. So that is today's winner. Hell yeah. Go me.
Nice. Nice.
Go me,
What
go
was your-
Katamari.
So what's your rating on Katamari then?
Oh, it's a 10 for me. I mean,
Gotcha.
there are problems with it. This is it's like a subjective 10, not an objective 10. You know what I mean? It is
Yeah.
like, I do think the game can be frustrating. It can be clunky. And it is, I'm not gonna say it's one note, but like we were saying with Wario World, like, it does give you all the tools up front. You don't necessarily like unlock new special moves and power ups and whatever. It's just, you might hit levels that are structured differently, that like open up. You got to get big enough to open up different areas. You got to get larger within a more constricted time frame. You got to collect a certain number. Whatever the thing is, it'll change it up a little bit, but it can be a lot of one thing. So there are flaws that I see with it, but like I said, it's just so important to me. I can't come out here and do anything other than give it a 10. So that's what I got to do. But
For sure. I mean, nostalgia does that. So
yeah.
Nice. Well, hell yeah. Let's talk
But yeah, I
about
think,
next month. Oh, wait, you go ahead.
yeah.
I'm jumping to conclusion here.
No, I was just gonna say, so the the reason it's important, that we're keeping the rankings of the games is I think it'll be fun to you know, have a record of all the games that we play on the podcast for each of us, and just kind of see like stack them up against each other. So the games that we play next month, we're going to be putting up against ChoroQ and Wario World and Katamari, and then the next games after that, we play, we're going to put them up against these three games, and then the next month's games, and the next month's games, and so on. And then at the end of the year, maybe we can do like a review and a roundup and be like, here's the list. After a year, has this changed? Have we do we think more fondly on this, or did this actually not stick with us after we played it and we kind of had an immediacy bias to it? So I think that'll be fun. So that's why we're talking about the scores and stuff. I think it'll be, we're doing some stuff with it. So that's all.
Got you. All right, so if we're going to talk about next month, we have an entire month to play 2 video games. We're doing a 1v2 format, and we randomly spun a wheel for the one team, which was spun on yours truly, me. So the game that I'm presenting to Jabin and user_name is Ultimate Spider-Man, either on the GameCube or the PlayStation 2. The game I played growing up was on the GameCube. They're exactly the same video game. There's no difference between the two. And yeah, so I'm excited for you guys to play that this month. And you guys suggested Balatro, or is it Balatro? How do you is it either or?
I believe I believe it's actually pronounced Balatro. I believe like that is the official, like that's what the creator says is the thing. I started calling it Balatro, and that's what everybody around me called it until like I, started hearing the larger world talk about it during like Game Awards and stuff. And at that point, it was too late. The damage was done, and I had a way of pronouncing it, and that's the way I'm going to keep saying it. So, suck it. Sorry. It's
Potato,
Balatro.
Potato,
To me.
potato, right?
Potato, potato, like you said.
All right. So, yeah, those are the 2 games we'll be coming out with. And gameplay footage will be uploaded as well. And when it comes to last month, there's limited footage, but I'll find what I can get here and there, and those will be uploaded along as well with the podcast episode. But yeah, I don't know how to close this, but this was a very fun first episode. So
it was. Yeah, so I want to talk. You said it's a 1v2 structure. Me and Jabin teamed up. So the way we're going to be doing probably most episodes is, we spin the wheel and one person recommends a game to the other 2, and then those 2 have to team up, and they have to. So me and Jabin have both put a lot of hours into Balatro. We've played the shit out of it. And we really like it, and we know Big Henny hasn't, but he's been playing Slay the Spire, and so now might be the time, put that in there and see what he does with it. So the idea is that it'll bring out different kinds of games, because if it's just me and the games that I've played, that's a very different list than the much smaller confined, like relatively smaller and confined list of like games that me and Jabin have played exclusively and Big Henny hasn't. So that's kind of the idea there. But yeah, we'll be playing those games for the next month, and we'll be back to see you then. We'll try and record around the same time, very early in April, and get the podcast out first or second week. Thank you so much for listening in or watching on YouTube. Again, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, comment if you've played these games, if you enjoy them, if you hate them, whatever you feel about them. If you're interested in picking one, like going out of your way to try one because of us talking about it here, we'd love to hear all of that. We'd love for you to like, subscribe, hype, do all those things that you got to do on the YouTube. It really does help, and it's absolutely free. It just takes a little bit of your time. But we put a lot of time into this, into playing these games, making this podcast, recording, and giving some entertainment to you. So we hope that you do that little trade-off for us, and we'll see you next time. Say bye-bye, boys.
Bye.
see you freaks later. Bye.
There you go.